Well, again, my name is Jeffrey Davis, and that means this is Radio Entrepreneurs. And I am so proud to say that over 8,000 interviews, leaders, entrepreneurs, academics, publishers, not publishers, but authors, all talking about the economy and how they succeed in this economy. And the next guest, first time guest, Yasiara Ortiz, CEO and founder of Misstudy, correct?
hmm That's right.
Great. So why don't you tell us about Miss Study?
Okay, so Miss Study, what we do is first of all, we support our young people to understand what their mission is, what their purpose is. And then we find the best university, not just here in the States, but worldwide, so that they can accomplish whatever purpose or mission that they have. This can be at an undergrad level or also at a graduate school level.
Well, how long have you been doing this, and how much have you grown the organization?
Well, I started in education 20 years ago. I started working for an Italian university, Politecnico di Milano. My architects, designers probably know it, engineers as well. And then very naturally, it was interesting because people started reaching out to me and just asking, "Hey, Yassi, like you went to Columbia University in New York. Your background is French, Spanish, and also New Yorker. And now you work for this Italian university. What advice, like what would be a good match for me? What's a good option?" So it started out me working for a university, and very naturally, I got into just responding people's questions about education opportunities, what's a good match for me. This is my budget, this is my project, and very naturally, I built Miss Study. And Miss Study was born 10 years ago. I've always done the counseling online. So it was pre-COVID, it was already online. And it's grown internationally. So I work, for instance, with students here. I'm based out of Miami, and I work with students here in Miami, in the East Coast, who are looking to go to college or graduate school. And what's interesting now is American students are starting to get interested in going to school, like doing their whole degree abroad. And vice versa. I work with international students, students from Europe, from Asia, from Latin America, who are thinking of coming here to the States to do their college degree. So it's very international. I'm traveling. I'm based out of Miami and traveling all the time too.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions you have to deal with Europeans coming here or Americans going to Europe?
I think in general, there are three things, three mental limitations, right? One of them is if it's international students coming to the US, thinking that they have to have a perfect English for them to study here at a college. And that's actually a lot of colleges have seen the revenue stream that international students represent. So now they're building programs for them to be able to get to the level of English that is needed for them to start the degree. So inside the degree, they'll have like a pre-course where they can rush up their English. So that's one of the mental limitations. The other one is talking about language. American students going abroad to Europe thinking, oh, well, I mean, where can I go, right? If I go to Spain or France or Italy, je dois parler français, o devo parlare italiano, o quizás debo hablar español. And that's not the case. You
Just un
actually,
peu.
un petit peu. You actually have great programs in English. So you can have that experience, you can have the experience of earning a degree abroad in English. And at the same time, when you go to the cafe or the supermarket, you're speaking in a different language. So you get to learn a new language. So languages would be one of the limitations. Then the second limitation is finances. So for Americans going to Europe, because Americans already they have this mentality that college is so expensive, they actually get really surprised when we start talking about tuition prices. I mean, a top-notch school in Italy public university in English might cost you something like $3,000 per year. And so that's a shocker for them. They're like, wait, how does this work? I thought it was very expensive going abroad. And it's actually quite the opposite. For international students coming to the US, it's the other way around. They're like, well, it's must be very expensive. There are also, because colleges here are looking to attract international talent, there's some really cool options for them for scholarship options and just financial options, right? And yeah, yeah, those are the two limitations that I hear the most. Like and also not understanding how to navigate the process. How does it work? Is it very difficult? And I always tell my American students, like the most here, going to college is almost applying to be, I don't know, the president of the US. There are so many steps. And actually applying to college abroad is quite simple. So they get surprised by that. They're like, oh, wow, I had no idea this existed.
Do you find over the last couple of years that the discipline that they're interested in learning has been changing?
Yeah, it's really cool because every year there's some sort of fashion new trend, and it also has to do with nationalities. I mean, we'll have more like Asian students, Indian students interested in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math, right? I'll have students from South America, depending where they're coming from. Students from Ecuador, for instance, they're very interested in medicine. Then I'll have students in Europe. It seems like everyone's sort of kids who don't really know what to study, they'll study business. And here, the trends is I had this year that everyone was studying criminology. I was like, what's going on? And then CSI was really popular. It was a really popular show at the time. So, and now, things that have to do with AI, computer science, um, food science is really fascinating. I get students who maybe their parents or, they have a business around agricultural goods, and now they're really interested in understanding, okay, what is the future of food? Because we're growing as a population. How are we going to be fitting all these people? So it's really cool to see the different trends, depending also on nationalities and where they're coming from.
Do if someone wants to engage with you, is that an easy process to do?
Yes. I mean, we'll have a first conversation. And the way I have the conversation, people get surprised because usually when you're more so here in the States, there's so much pressure as a high school student, for instance, to, as soon as they're approaching the college years, a sophomore year, 3 years before, it's like pressure, pressure, pressure. Pick your school, get the SATs, the ACs. There's so much pressure. So people get surprised when they have the first conversation with me because I put them first at ease and I remind them to see the end from the beginning. What I mean by that is, why are you even thinking of going to college? What does it mean for you? And I play this imagination game, which I love. And I'll have the student with the parent imagine that it's their first day, it's the day that they're moving into the college dorm and the kid has, his games, his pictures from his friends, and it's the moment that the mom or dad or family, they're just saying goodbye to him or her. So they give each other a big hug and then they leave. And then I'll ask the student, okay, now that you're alone in your dorm, mom and dad are gone, and you're playing your music, you're by yourself. What's new and different for you? And that question will, some of them will start saying, oh, now I have to do this, I have to do that. I was like, no, forget about the doing. Like, what's new and different for you? And they'll get to a place where they can just say, well, I'm starting my new life. I can start feeling proud of me. I finally have done it. I can have ease. More so in this generation where there's just so much doing and so much mental, there's so many mental issues just for them to get to a place of ease, and just for them to enjoy, okay, this is my new life. this is it. I'm starting anew. And that exercise is so powerful. And that's the first conversation I have with my students, just like, why are we even having this conversation? And that I've had some amazing, amazing results from just having that first conversation. Let's talk about how you see yourself. And for me, that's the reason I do this because I love having those conversations. And then we'll see if it's a good fit. And from then you can talk about options and strategy, but not from the beginning. Let's dream a little bit from the beginning.
I can feel your passion and commitment as we interviewed. We've been speaking with Yasiara Ortiz, CEO and founder of Misstudy. Yasiara, if someone wants to find you or Misstudy, how would they do that?
Okay, they can go on our website, which is missstudy.com, and Misstudies with two S's, Misstudy. Also on Instagram, the handle is Missstudy as well, and on Facebook. We're very active. They'll see a lot of videos interviewing students, what they're doing right now, like how the process was. And we travel throughout the world to visit universities. So if you were curious to see, okay, what does a college in France look like? Or what does a college in California look like? Or how would it be to have an experience abroad? You can really see some of those interviews and picture yourself and really imagine yourself in those situations.
Well, I want to thank you for being on Radio Entrepreneurs. We hope you return again and remind our listeners this is Radio Entrepreneurs.